Yeah. Uh, Hi. My name is Keoung-Yeol Kim. I want to present about my uh, English paper. The title of my English paper is the a study on the literature for supporting occupational life of people with developmental disability. Okay. The contents of my presentation is introduction and research method and the result of the research and conclusion and decision. Okay, I want to discuss the necessity of the research. People with developmental disabilities are subject to exceptional and discrimination instead of positive interest and consideration from society, which has led them to become economically disadvantaged people whose social status has been deprived. Our society tended to perceive people with developmental disabilities as dependent beings, as object to receiving service rather than as subject of choice and self-decision. This is the result of the failure to get out of the rehabilitation paradigm, which focused on physical damage and lack of vocational skills for people with disabilities. If continuous support of the appropriate environment and eliminations of social obstacles are done at the same time, they will be able to establish themselves as a consumer and a person directly concerned with better self-reliance. For people with developmental disabilities, a professional life is a channel that extends beyond economic independence to psychological independence and social independence. Therefore, a lot of attention and effort is needed to make the developmental disabled stand as self-reliant beings through professional life. People with developmental disabilities who work at a community job site are frequently leaving the workplace as a result of a discrimination, abuse, and reaction instead of social support. Therefore, a more concrete approach are needed to further professional life of workers with developmental disabilities to reduce the number of the people with developmental disabilities who fail to maintain their professional lives and pull halfway. In particular, sufficient consideration and effort are required to improve the quality of their life through job security for those with developmental disabilities who are members of the community at the social welfare level. Okay, what do you think of research problem in my English article? Okay, the following research problem shall be presented in order to support the vocational life and the independent life of the persons with developmental disabilities. First, what is the concept of developmental disabilities? Second, why do people with developmental disabilities need professional life? Finally, what is self-reliance support model for the people with developmental disabilities? Okay. Next, the time is second time is to introduce the research method in my article. In order to establish an institutional mechanism to ensure the professional life of people with developmental disabilities. Understanding of various literature are related to the occupation of people with developmental disabilities should precede. This study focuses on domestic and foreign literature and related reports on the job life of the people with developmental disabilities. In detail, it was divided into dissertations, other research papers, and policy referred to achieve research proposed by reading them by researchers, organizing and analyzing their contents. Development means a change of physical or psychological function from conception to death. In this process, functional restriction may arise due to various causes. Developmental disabilities are disorders that have neurological condition closely related to intellectual disabilities, such as intellectual disabilities, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, autism, and learning disorder, or that require education and training similar to those required by intellectually disabled people, self-sufficiency. The American Association on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities defines the developmental disorders as a chronic disorder or seriousness, which can be caused by cognitive and physical cause. A developmental disorder is a disorder in which developmental significantly deviate from the average and is likely to continue to be a serious and chronic disorder in both physical and mental areas. Developmental disabilities are defined in 5 ways. The American Association on Mental Retirement renamed the association the American Association on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, as it could insult and misinterpreted disabled people there and their family. Korea also used the terms intellectual disability instead of the terms mental delay in accordance with the Welfare Act on persons with disability. Autism disorder was first known in 1943 by Leo Kanner, a professor of infant psychiatry at Johns Hopkins University. Autistic people have various characteristics which vary depending on the type of the behavior and the degree of disability. The widely used description of the characteristic of people with autism is that Leo Kanner summarized the characteristic of people with autism. Okay. The job is social. Okay. That times is introduced the result of the research. Okay. First, occupational life of people with developmental disabilities. The job is social activities and which social support continues to engage in constant tasks by showing their respective capabilities for their livelihood. It is said that professional life is the nature of social skill, such as social harmony, personality, and social attitude with the employee in the workplace. In addition, this professional life enables the guarantee of livelihood through income creation and also discover the meaning of social status and self-realization. Okay. Self-reliance of people with developmental disabilities. This means that disabled people have control of their daily lives and practice social activities independently. The continued reliance approach can be seen as an approach to helping the disabled make choice and decisions about whether or not they benefit from our service or at a critical moment of their lives. Assume that the disabled themselves are responsible for taking control of their lives, contrary to traditional method. Okay, self-reliance for the mother. In order to introduce the professional life of workers with developmental disabilities, it is necessary to understand their background and concept of the emergency of social mothers and self-reliance support mothers, and their relevance to a professional life. To this end, we compare the medical model with a social model and then look at how the self-reliance support model emerged. Okay, what do you think the definition of the medical models? Traditional model, biological model, and medical model that view disability as medical and usually cause they have developed into functional rehabilitation models. The medical models which had dominated until 1990 established the paradigm as incompetently weak and patient and a victim of the social stigma, prejudice, and hurt in the family of the disabled. So this ought to define the and what is the definition of the social model? So this order to define the disability as social barriers given by a society that does not tolerate people who are damaged. The social model of the disabilities is not an individual damage or adaptations, but rather socially imposed barriers in accessible building, a limited waste of the transportation and communication, and the prejudice attitude, which constitute disabilities with subordinated social position and low value life experience. Okay, what is the definition of the rehabilitation model? Okay, first, the rehabilitation model view the primary responsibility of disabilities as a party to the disabled. So it is believed that disabled people should be dependent on the instruction and the advice of experts such as a doctor and vocational rehabilitation counselor. Second, the self-reliance model believe that the cause of the problem lies not in the disabled party, but in the social environment. So it can be driven through social reform and environmental change. Okay. I think there. Finally, I want to summarize the result of the research for your understanding. First, developmental disability referred to a disorder that has neurological condition closely related to the intellectual disabilities, such as intellectual disabilities, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, autism disorder, learning disability, or require education and training similar to those required for intellectually disabled people. Second, for people with the developmental disabilities, the meaning of their professional life is meaningful as a means to really at independent life in the society, or as a means of the expressing their value of existence. disabled people should also have the opportunity to live their social role with non-disabled people and to realize themselves by working conditions according to their ability and aptitude through job activity. Third, in order to understanding the professional life of workers with developmental disabilities, it is necessary to understand the background on the emergency of social model and the self-reliance support model. Thank you for listening my presentation. Thank you.